Hi, good day. This is grade 11 math, and we're going to do trigonometry. So for this session, we're going to do sin, cos, and tan. We're going to find some general solutions. So before we continue, after this, I'm going to show you the calculator that I'm using. And but I just want to talk about what you see in front of you. So as you know, normally, if you do this on a calculator and you work out sin of 30, that will equal a half. And if you say tan of 45, that will be equal to 1. But you can also work out what I call the inverse. So it might differ what it's called in certain schools, but I call it the inverse. So for example, if you have sin x equal a half, and then you do it like this, the inverse of the inverse sine of a half, that gives you 30 degrees. Or if you have in the case tan of x equal 1, and then we have to work out the angle x, and that then you do it on the calculator like this, and then you get the inverse of tan equal 45 degrees. So this here is always the angle, the 30 degrees or the 45 degrees, and then here you'll get the answer will be an integer. But if you have, in this case, if you have the integer and it says sin of something is the integer, what you have to work out here is the angle, and you do it like I showed, like it's on top. The inverse of sin half is 30 degrees, so the integer goes here, and the inverse of tan of 1 is 45 degrees. So just keep this in mind. Maybe just write it down before I continue, because I just want to show you on the calculator that I use how you can work it out, because you might use a different calculator by you, because all the things that we are going to do now, you'll need to know this before we continue. So if you know how to do it on your calculator, then we can do it. So I'm going to switch over to my calculator now. I'm going to stop sharing this. I'm going to share my screen. Just give me a couple of seconds. Okay, there we go. So you should see my calculator. So I'm using it's just a normal HP 10B calculator. It's an app that I have on my phone and on the iPad. And this one has got all the different rules for finance. And then you also have some business formulas that you can use. But the one I'm going to use now is for maths and trig, to be more specific. So this is a view I have now in front of me. So if you look on the previous things that I showed, or what you have written down, there I have sin of 30 is a half. How I would do it on this calculator, I would put the 30 in, and then the sin, that would be 0.5, which is a half. So again, I put the 30 and the sin, which gives 0.5. That means sin of 30 equals 0.5. Now, if I have the integer, which is a half, and I want to work out the inverse, then I first put the half in, and then this one here, a sin. Not sure what's the a called. I just call it the inverse, and that gives you the 30 degrees. So this is how I do it on my calculator. Your calculator might be different. I've used some other calculators, and I couldn't really get to the answer that I want. That's why please make sure before you continue that you know how to do this on your calculator. Let's just do tan of 45 equal 1. So if you have the degrees, 45, on this one, I would just say tan. So that means tan of 45, and there you see the answer is 1. If I have a 1 and I don't have the angle, then I say I'm going to use now, type in the 1, but then I'm going to use the inverse of tan, which you see here is a tan. And that gives the 45 degrees. So all the questions we're going to do now would require you probably to do, I would call it the inverse. And at this stage, if you know how to do it, then we can continue. And I'm going to use this calculator that you see in front of you, but I'm not going to show you the workings. I'm just going to say sin of an angle, or I'm going to say the inverse. And this is the last time repeat, the inverse of tan gives you 45 degrees. The inverse of a half, the inverse sin of a half, inverse sin of a half give you 30 degrees. So that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to switch over back to Zoom. And then I'm just going to share a whiteboard, and then we can start with some questions. All right. So what they ask here is for determine the general solution, and they give sin theta equals cos theta. So what they mean, the general solution at the end, you must just have theta equals. So that's what you want, and usually they want an angle, and then plus k times 360. Now, I just want to explain this part. What the k times 360 mean, it just means whatever this angle is that we are going to find, you can multiply it with any number k, which is part of the integers. So it looks like a z, not a z, that's more z. It looks more like this, but this means integers. So what this means, let's say you found the angle of 30 degrees. Then you can take that 30, the theta will be correct for this 30 degrees plus any number k times 360. So for example, if k was 1, then it's 1 times 360, then this will be 30 degrees plus 360, which will give you, this in total will give you 390. So it means whatever answer you get, theta can be 390 as well. K can be 2, which means is 2 times 360, which is 720. So whatever you get there, just plus it by 720, it will give the same answer. So for all the answers we're going to write, we're going to have the answer and just say plus k times 360. So the focus for our questions here is going to be on this part, the theta part, and this k plus 360, we're just going to write all the time. And like I explained now, that's the reasons for it, but we don't need to know, we don't need to work it out. It just have to be in the answer. Just imagine k is 0, then 0 times 360, that gives you 0. And let's say 30 degrees plus 0 is just 30 degrees, which is just this answer. So you can work it out for any number of k, which is part of the integers, and you will get the answer. Okay, so right, let's start again. Sine of x plus sine of theta, sorry, equals cos theta. So how you do this, you have to find theta. So there's a rule that say sine of theta divided by cos of theta equals tan of theta. So that's one of the rules. Write it down, try to remember it. And later we'll probably do this one as well. Sine squared theta plus cos squared theta equals to 1. So let's see what we can do here. So here I'm going to say sine theta, and I'm going to divide that by cos theta. And whatever I do on the left, I have to do on the right as well. So if I do that, then I get this, and this sine theta divided by cos theta is what I just showed you here, and that answer will be tan theta. And cos divided by cos, or cos theta divided by cos theta is the same like x divided by x, is the same like 3 divided by 3, is the same like 5 divided by 5. Anything divided by itself give an answer of 1. So this will be 1. And now we have tan theta equal to 1. So now we have to work out the answer. So if you do that on a calculator, so that's the one we had earlier. So let's just say that I'm gonna write it. So I'm gonna work out the tan, the inverse of 1 and I need an angle as the answer. So on my calculator is the A10, that gives 45 degrees. So that means theta equals the 45 degrees. So let's just pause there. So that is what we have. Now I just want to show you something else. I'm just going to remove this part here. So how I do it, and you might do it differently in your school, in different schools. I've seen different things, but how I remember it is as follows. I just draw a quad or square like this. Then I say, I start here on top. I say all stations to Cape Town. Because I remember it when I was younger, I traveled a lot with the train, and you can be anywhere in Cape Town. Most or all stations will lead to Cape Town. Or if it doesn't go directly to Cape Town, it will go to another station and you will end up in Cape Town. Because Cape Town is the main station, Cape Town station in town. So that's how I remember it, all stations to Cape Town. So what does it mean? Let me just write here. So A means all, S is actually stand for sin, T for tan, and C for cos. What this means is in the first quadrant, so this is quadrant, put it a different color, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4. So in quadrant 1, all the signs, sine, tan, or cos will be positive. So everything is positive. In quadrant 2, only sine is positive. Quadrant 3, only tan is positive. Quadrant 4, only cos is positive. So keep that in mind, and please just write this down, this section over here. Just keep it separate, because this is also something you're gonna use forever. So I'm going to refer to this a lot. So if I continue, I'm going to ask in 10, and let's start with this one. So here is tan theta is equal to 1. So what does it mean? It means tan, and this tan over here is positive. Because remember, if there's nothing in front of the plus, is positive. So this tan is positive. And now we ask ourselves, in which quadrants are tan positive? And the answers are tan is positive in quadrant 3 and quadrant 1. So there is where tan is positive. Just another thing now for you to keep in mind. If you have, and I'm just going to draw this thing just again. So just write again, all stations to Cape Town. So I just want to show you, if you start from here, and again, this is my way of remembering it. If you start from here, this is now the theta you have, and you go that way, that is 90 degrees. So anything in quadrant 1 will be 90 degrees minus theta. So I'm going to show again, from there to there is 90. We'll just continue. From that point to here, it's 180. Oh, sorry, not from there. That's actually the whole one. So from this point over here, right up to there is 180. If we go all the way to there, so that's 180. That's 270. And if we go to that point, that's 360. And remember, this one is 90. So in the first quadrant, you have all the way to 90, but if it is theta, let's say theta is 20, that means 90 minus theta is 70. It's going to be in this quadrant. So the 90 minus, then I go back that way. So then minus, I go that way. So 90 minus theta is in this quadrant. In this quadrant, quadrant 2, just going to remove this for now. In quadrant 2, you have up to the 90 plus theta, which is, so that's 90 plus theta. But also you have up to the 180, but then you go the other way again, minus 180 minus theta. You'll see now if we do questions how this can work out. Quadrant 3, you go all the way to 180, but you continue, therefore you say 180 plus theta. You go from 0 all the way to 270, but you go back, so it's 270 minus theta. Quadrant 4 will be the 270 plus theta. Start there, go all the way to 270, but you continue, so you plus theta. Or you start there, go all the way around, and just think of a circle, all the way around, 360, but then you go back 360 minus theta. So just keep that in mind. Keep both these diagrams in mind because you're going to need this. And basically everything we're going to do, I'm going to talk about these diagrams. I'm going to ask, where is tan positive? So in this case, tan is positive in quadrant, yes, tan. So in quadrant 3 and in quadrant 1. Let's just do some examples. Sine will be positive in quadrant 2 and 1. Cos is positive in quadrant 4 and 1. Where is cos negative? So you know cos is positive in 1 and 4. So cos is negative in 2 and 3. Sine is negative in 3 and 4. Tan is negative in 2 and 4. So wherever they are not positive, they are negative. Right, so that's just some introduction that we had to do. Right, so let's just come back here. So here we ask, where is tan positive? So tan is positive in quadrant 1 and quadrant 3. So what does it mean? It means the angle is less than 90, so we can keep that at that. Theta equals 45, but don't forget what we wrote earlier. You have to write 45 plus k times 360, where k is an element of all integers. So this part in the red, you must just write always down. So that's the one answer. Because tan is tan is positive in 2 quadrants. We just had the 1 quadrant. So the another question is, where's tan positive also? It's in quadrant 3. So what's quadrant 3? If you go to the bottom, quadrant 3 is 180 plus theta. And you see here, 180 plus theta. Yes, tan positive. So it's 180 plus theta. So what is 180 plus theta? I just go to another page. So 180 plus theta. Theta is the 45 that we worked out. The one on the calculator we worked out. Theta 45. So in this case, we're using the 45 as the one answer, but it's also 180 plus theta, which is 180 plus 45, which equals 225. So theta is also equal to 225. And don't forget k times 360, where k is the element of all integers. And that's it. That's the 2 answers. Theta is 225 plus the last part. And where's the other one now? This here. Where we have theta is 45 plus k times 360. K is the element of all integers. So just keep this in mind. I'll come back to the screen, but these two diagrams you have to write down and keep separate with you. Right, let's continue. Sum number 2. So here we have 3 sine, I'm going to say x, plus 4 cos x equal to 0. Again, they want to ask a general solution, so we have to find x equal to something. That's always the end, and don't forget the k part. All right, so how do we define x? So what I'm going to do now, I'm first going to take the cos part to the right. That becomes a minus. Then I'm going to do similar to what I did earlier, to divide everything by cos. Because if I divide by cos, I can again eliminate one of the two. So let's just divide by cos, see what do we get. So you divide both by cos. On the left, I'm going to have 3 tan x. And on the right, 4, and the cos cancel each other out. So that's just going to be equal to minus 4. And why tan x? You just have to write this reason down, is because tan x equals sine x divided by cos x. So you have to write that down so that they just know how you got to that. Right, so now we have this, then we have tan of x equals minus 4 over 3. And again, now we're at the part where we have to work out x, and I'm going to do it on the calculator. It's going to be too long now if I go show you my calculator. So I'm just going to say 4 over 3 minus, and the inverse, the 8 tan on my calculator. You can see what you have. The answer I get is minus 53,13. But that's not a nice angle, minus 53. So let's drop the minus for now. But that's not the answer that we want at this stage. So just don't write it down like this. Just keep it in mind. It is minus 53,13, but we're gonna, let's see if we can do something about it. So the question is, let's look at this part over here. Now we ask ourselves, this is tan of x is minus 4 over 3. So the focus is now on the tan and the minus. So where is tan negative? So tan is positive in quadrant 1 and 3, but tan is negative in 2 and 4. So in 2 and 4, I have this 180 minus theta. So 180 minus theta. And I also have the 360 minus theta. So that's the 2 I have. So let's start with the 180 minus theta. So just keep this in mind. This is the answer we got. But I'm going to say, so theta equals, or x, sorry, equals the 180 minus, that's the theta. And there you're going to put in that 53, just the positive part, to get 126,87. So that's the first answer. So just keep this in mind, but to work it out, the proper answer, you'll have to do this. So this 126 is the correct one. And don't forget the plus k. I'm not going to write it down all the time, but all that you have to write down with each and every sum. So that was just the first one. But k was, not k, tan was negative in quadrant 4 as well, which was, I'm going to write it here on top, 360 minus theta. And if we work out that theta as 53, or not, just remember it's the positive, the absolute. If that, and you do that on a calculator, you'll get the answer of 306,87 plus k, etc. And that's the two answers. Now let's just test something. Here is 90 plus theta. So could that have worked? But just keep in mind the 90 is used where the sin changed to a cos and a cos changed to a sin. So I don't really want to use the 90 over here. That's why I always keep with the 180. That's why I kept that 180 and I kept that 360 as well. But you can also ask yourself, what if you have this 270 plus theta? Again, the 270s are used for something different. Don't want to go into it now. So what I'm suggesting at this stage is, when you do this, only do it for the 180 minus theta, 180 plus theta, and the 360 minus theta. So let's see if we continue, if we can just use those three for now and just try to leave the others. So there's simplistic things, here's more complex things, but let's keep things simple and only use the simple ones. Okay, so that's the first question. Let's do some more. I like to do as much as possible questions that everyone understand. All right, so here we have 2 cos squared theta equal to sine theta plus 1. So let's see how we can do this. So just keep in mind that the rule we spoke about earlier about sine squared theta plus cos squared theta equal to 1. Let's see if there's a way that we can use it here. So here we have cos squared theta. So let's now write it like this. So the green, the cos squared theta, we do here, cos squared theta is equal to 1 minus the sine squared theta. We just rearrange this part over here. So that means cos squared theta, if we come here to the left, is going to be 1 minus the sine squared theta, and just keep that equal to all the things on the right. So can you see what I've done? I rearranged the cos squared theta. My answer is that, and that I just substituted into this, into where cos squared theta were. So that's the only thing I've done for now. Right, just remove a couple of things. Right, so let's just multiply this out so that it looks properly. So there's 2. 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times that is 2 sine squared theta equal to sine theta plus 1. So let's bring everything to one side. Let's keep, so I'm going to take this over to the other side and then rearrange it all in one. So I'm going to get 2 sine squared theta plus sine theta plus the 1 minus the 2 equal to 0. Oops, plus the 1 minus the 2 equal to 0. And if we write it, we get this plus sine that minus 1 equal to 0. Just see if you can do that. So that is what I've done now. So now let's do I'm just going to do something separate here on the right. So I'm going to say, just for simplistic terms, make sine theta equal to x. All right? That means here I'm going to have 2x squared plus x minus 1. This is just for the simplistic terms of the sum. Just so that we can do some factorization. And let me just check. Okay, the 1 is easy. That's 1 and 1. So 1 is positive, 1 is negative. There's a plus, so it looks something like this. Oops, x. So what I have done here, so I just said I'm going to make sine theta equal to x. So I just put this sine theta is going to be now x squared, and this sine theta is only x. Then you just have a more simpler thing to work with to factorize. And now that you factorize, you have this answer. I'm just going to go to the following page. So it's 2x minus 1, x plus 1. Keep in mind sine squared, sine of theta equal to x. So I'm going to substitute the sine of theta back into here. And then I'm going to get the 2. I'm going to get this. So that's what I'm going to get on the 1. Plus sine theta plus 1 equal to 0. So just keep in mind what I have done now. I just put this sine of theta equal to x back into here. And that's why I'm going to get here 2 sine theta minus 1 and sine theta plus 1. That's what I have there. So now I have just the basic maths factorization where you have the one bracket equal to 0, or I have another bracket equal to 0. And if you do the maths, you have this, or sine of theta equal to minus 1. Okay, now we're at this stage. Now I'm going to use my calculator to determine what is theta. And I'm going to use the inverse of sine on my calculator is a sine. So I'm going to put the 0.5 in on the calculator. A sine, I'm going to get theta is 30. Or I'm going to put the minus 1 in on the calculator. a sine again and get minus 90. So I'm just thinking how I'm going to use that for now. So I'm just going to write it in blue first. That equals minus 90. So I'll determine now how I'm going to do the minus 90. Both of that is degrees. All right. So now the question is, where is sine positive or negative? So let's draw here all stations to Cape Town. Oops. To Cape Town. Sine is positive. Why sine is positive? I'm looking at this here. Sine is a half and a half is positive. So let's only work with this part. So sine is positive here and over there. So if you look on your other diagram, so in quadrant 1, it's all 0 to 90 degrees, and theta is equal to 30, which is between 0 and 90. So this answer is now going to be theta equal to 30 degrees plus K 360, etc. Then in quadrant 2, you have 180 minus theta. Theta is 30. So right in red. So 180 minus theta equals 180 minus 30, which equals 150. So that means, just keep that 150 in mind. So that means theta is going to be 150 degrees as well, plus K times 360. So what am I actually saying here on the left-hand side? I'm saying sin of theta is a half. So to test it, and this is actually nice, to test it, I say theta is 30 and theta is 150. Now the question is, if I type now in the calculator and I want to work out sine of 30, so this is where I say theta is 30, I should get a half. So on my calculator, I'm going to put a 30 and then just sine, because I want to work out sine of 30. If I do it, my answer is 0.5, which is a half. But I also have sine of 150. So is sine of 150 a half? This is what we want to work out. If I do it on a calculator, yes, I also get 0.5, which equals a half. That means I'm comfortable in saying that these two are correct. But we're not finished yet. We still sit with this part over here. So we just did the left part. We still sit with the right part. So it means we have a question here on, where's the question? Sure, this is a big sum. Here we go. So this is a question, 2 cos squared theta equal to sine theta plus 1. So the solution is, for what is this correct? And it's gonna, we already have 2 answers of it will work when sine is 30 and when sine is 150. But we're not finished yet. We want to know, and this is where we have this minus 90 over here. I wrote it in blue because it's a minus and I don't like minuses. But let's see. Let's work here with the yellow. Sine theta equal to minus 1. So where in this quadrant is sine negative? The question is, it's positive in 1 and 2. So obviously it's negative in, in 3 and in 4. So in 3, you have, I'm just going to put 3 here for quadrant 3. You have the sine theta. What is that? No, sorry. I'm thinking of the 180 plus theta. Excuse me. So 180 plus theta. So what is 180 plus theta? And remember, if we do this, we only work with the absolute, meaning only the positives. So 180 plus theta is 180 plus 90. That is 270. And also in quadrant 4, we have the 360 minus theta. But what is theta? Theta is 90. So 360 minus 90 is 270. So both give 270. So the answer is, we have this 30, we have the 150, and also 270 is also our answer. And again, never forget this last part here, the plus K times 360. So we have 3 solutions for this question. Right. let's move on. Just like to do some more examples. If you understand it by now, great. But let's see if we can do some more.
I found this on the web.
Sorry for that. That is my watch that went off. So now here we have something that looks like this. Sine of theta minus 20 degrees equals sine of theta. So this is now a bit different. So what I am going to do here, and let's just keep this in mind again, all stations to Cape Town. So here I'm going to ask, where is sine, the whole sine, where is it positive? So it's positive in quadrant 1 and 2. So I'm going to say theta minus 20 just equal to theta. So that's just what I'm going to say over there. And never forget the last part. So this is slightly different from the previous one. But if you look at this, let me just write it again, just to show something. If you look at this, you have something sine, which is the same like sine. And then you also have a bracket and something there. But because the two signs are the same, that means this will be equal to that. So whatever is in the green bracket over here will equal that because this sign and sign is the same. That's why I have this theta minus 20 equal, this equal to theta, and never forget this part here on the right. So that is another thing we can do. So if you just look at it, basically you just say that equal to that, but plus the k and all of that. So I'm going to continue now, but I'm just going to remove these things here at the bottom. So just remove that as well. So now I'm just going to put this theta alone. And here I'm going to say 20 degrees plus just the k times 360. Because you don't need to write the other theta down. But if you think about it, it doesn't look right. Because you have theta, which is 20 plus, but it can't be 20 and minus 20, because 20 is minus 20 is 0. So if you look, sine of 0, this question is equals to 20. Because if theta is 20 and this is 20, so this is sine of 0. So we say sine of 0 equals sine of 20, but this is not the case. So for this, we just say there's no solution. So we don't need to write this part over here. So the no solution we can just put over here. So that we can just see it just doesn't look right. But let's see if we can do something different. Now also, because we sit with two quadrants, we have the 180 minus theta. But what theta are we busy with? So we need the, we're going to write it again, we're going to use different colors. So let's start again. Theta minus 20. It's this theta over here. I'm going to say there, that's the reference angle. So always if you write, you must write the reference angle is equal to theta. That's the one we have to work out. So I'm going to write this again, theta minus 20, but then I'm going to put here also 180 minus theta. And don't forget the plus k. So let's see, can we work this out? So let's bring the thetas to one side. Let's take the numbers to the other side. So it's 2 theta equals 200. So theta is equal to 100. So 100, that is something we can use. We can test it now. Don't forget the plus k. That's actually the answer. So we complete. But let's just test it. Bring I'm going to just write here at the bottom. So on top we have sine theta minus 20. And so let's see if this is 100 minus 20, which is sine of 80. There I get 0.98. And what is sine of 100? That's also 0.98. So this answer, sine of 80 is 0.98. But then I just took this sine of theta here, said sine of 100, and that's also equal to 0.98. So you can test both on your calculator. Sine of 80 is 0.98, and also sine of 100 is 0.98. That's why we know for sure that this theta equals 100 is correct. So let me just explain again why I did this. You have to write this reference angle. So I use this as a reference angle, and this reference angle is the same that we have here. So this reference angle here will be the same we have there. That's why I say that answer there equals this theta plus the k. And the other one I said that 0 minus 20, which is that, equals the 180 minus theta. So the 180 minus theta, if it was other things like cos of sin, cos or tan, then we would have used maybe something different, 180 plus theta, 360 minus theta. But just the reference angle we're using here, that's the one that we are referring to, and then we just work out the solution. All right, let's work out maybe one more. So let's do tan theta plus 10 equal tan 2x minus 30. So keep that in a bracket. So again, I'm just going to say here, the reference angle equal the 2 theta minus 30. It's always a reference angle, just keep it over there. So again, like the previous one, because you have tan and tan over there, and you can say automatically this theta plus 10 equal the other one in the other bracket, but remember that is the what we call the reference angle, therefore you mustn't forget the escape part. So let's just show again. I just put the two brackets equal to each other, but because the reference angle is the one on the right, I have to write that down plus the k. Then I just work it out. So it's theta. Let me just see. So there's a 2 theta, there's a theta. So on the left, so I'm going to take the theta to the right. Then I only have theta. Putting all the numbers maybe to the left. I'll do it properly because there's a k involved. So let's keep the minus theta there. Let's take the numbers to the right. Minus 10, minus 30. So that's minus 40 minus theta. So theta, just remove the positives, will be 40 degrees. Never forget this part over. You should actually write it down all the time. Plus k. So if I forget to write it down, just don't forget. You just write it down all the time and say k is an element of all the integers. You must just write it all the time. But you know it by now. Okay, so I have theta is 40. Let's look again. All stations to Cape Town. So where's tan? Let's just ask ourselves, what are we looking at? So here's everything is positive. So tan is positive over 1 and in 3. In 1, it's only 40. So that's the one that we have. So this answer here is correct. And then let's just see if we can use another one. So here is also the 180 plus theta. So we have 180 plus theta, and 180 plus theta gives us 180 plus 40, that is 220. But let's ask ourselves, is 220, so let's work out what is, if we go over here, tan of theta plus 10, So 40 plus 10 is 50. So tan of 50 is 1.19. And then, so what I'm doing is, let me just show you at the bottom. So I'm going to take this tan of theta plus 10. And then I'm going to put this answer of 40 over there. So 40 plus 10. So tan of 40 plus 10 is tan of 50. And that gives an answer of 1.19. Then I'm also going to put this answer in here. Tan of theta plus 10 equals the tan of the 220 plus 10 is 230. And if I do tan of 230, I also get 1.19. So I'm going to use this theta equals 40 as the answer, and theta equals to 220 plus the k. Like I say, don't forget the k. So maybe other exams might use different things, but this is the way I'm using it. And like you saw, you can test it just to plug that over in again, and it's just test the right. Tan of 2 theta. So 2 times 40 is 80. 80 minus 30 is 50. That's the same one we have there. 2 times 220 gives 440 minus 30. Let's just check if that works. Tan of 4, what's that? Sorry, 2 times 220 minus the 30 gives 410. And tan of 410 indeed is 1.19. And when you do that, then you know you are 100% correct, and then you can continue. Let's do one last one. This is going to be a big one. So 1 plus sine theta cos theta minus 7 cos squared theta equal to 0. So again, we just want thetas at the end. So we'll see how much answers we're going to get. The previous sum we had the square over here, there were 3 answers. So already we can already say we're going to get 3 or maybe 4. Because remember, there was other sum, I think where theta were 90 degrees or minus 90 or something, and we had to set 790 or 180 plus 90, and we got to 270, and we said 360 minus 90, and we got also to 270. Now, if theta is something different, we're going to get 2 separate answers over here. That's why I say we might get 4, we might get 3, but just keep that in mind. We definitely have more than 2. Right, so let's start. So again, if you see a thing like this, we're just going to try to see how can we simplify it. Currently, we don't know how to do it yet, but if you just look at this, you can't really do anything. So what I'm looking at is to say, what if we say cos theta equal, let's say, x, and what if we say sine of theta equals y? Can we then rewrite the equation as minus 7x squared plus xy plus 1 equal to 0? So I'm just replacing, substituting that. So I'm just giving my thought process. I'm not saying this is the answer. So if we have this, so can we factorize this? Let's see. So that's 0, x and x, 1 and 1. So you, sorry, not the 1 and 1. Yeah, we just can't do anything because sit here with a y. So what I'm going to try to do is just see if I can use one of the formulas, because there's just no way I'm going to factorize this in a neat way. That's what I want, in a neat way to get to a y, because I need a y. Yeah, so this is not going to work. So just keep this in mind. We might do this later again, but just substituting it now definitely is not going to work. So what's the next option? All right, let's see if we can use some rules. So 1, what is 1? 1 equals sine squared theta plus cos squared theta, because that answer equals 1. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to replace this 1 over here, and I'm going to put this in because that equals 1. So let's see if we can do it. So let's write that 1 over there, which is sine squared theta plus cos squared theta. And then just write the rest of the sum over there. Plus sine theta cos theta minus 7 cos squared theta equal to 0. Let's simplify this a little and see what's happening. So I'm seeing here's a cos squared theta and another cos squared theta. So that's minus 7 cos squared theta plus 1. That gives me minus 6 cos squared theta. I have this plus sine theta cos theta over here. Then we also sit with the plus sine squared theta. So I just rearranged. The only thing I added was this, the cos squared thetas. Let's get rid of, see if we can get rid of the, so let's just change it. It's either I wanted to change this to a positive, or we can just rearrange it and just put the sign in front. I'll show you now why. So let's put the sign in front. Cos theta minus 6 cos theta equal to 0. So what I'm going to do now is what I said earlier. I'm going to say make sine theta equal to x and make cos theta equal to y. And if I do that, I'm going now to get, so sine squared theta is going to be x squared plus sine theta times cos theta is going to be x plus y minus 6 cos, that's y squared. And as you can see now, it looks so simple. Let's hope we can simplify this. Let's see where we end up. X times x. If you do it, you'll get a 3y and a 2y, because the 3y times 2y gives you 6y squared. If that's a minus, we need a plus and a minus. Now I'm going to put the plus with a bigger one. So put the plus in front of the 3 and the minus in front of the 2. So if you multiply it out, you'll get x times x is x squared. X times minus 2x is minus 2xy. This times that is plus 3xy, which gives you the plus xy. And plus 3y times minus 2y give you minus 6y squared. Okay, so now we've simplified this. So I'm just going to try to write it. I'm going to go to the next page now. So I'm going to redo this. So what I'm going to do, so I'll just show you. I'm going to start the next page where I'm just going to say x, put x back, which is sine theta plus 3 cos theta. That times, this is going to be not enough space. Let me do it on the other side. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take this formula, and wherever I see x, I put sine theta, and wherever I see y, I put cos theta. So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get sine theta plus 3 cos theta times, this x is again sine theta minus 2, and the y is going to be cos theta. All right, so let's do it. So what I just told you is what I'm writing now. The sine theta plus 3 cos theta multiplied by sine theta minus 2 cos theta, everything equal to 0. Now you just do the normal, take each bracket and make that equal to 0. Sine theta plus 3 cos theta equal to 0, or sine theta minus 2 cos theta equal to 0. Now at this point, we're going to do exactly what we did with the previous sums. We have to find theta. So let's see what we can do here. So this is very similar to the, I think, one of the first ones we did. I'm going to divide each one now by cos, just to get rid of the sign. So divide this by cos theta, divide this by cos theta, then that's going to give an answer of tan theta plus 3. Why 3? Because this cos's cancel out. That equal to 0. And then tan theta equals minus 3. So that's the first one that we have. So just keep this in mind. Let's do the right side. While we're at it, let's also divide by cos. Just like to keep everything constant. So divide that by cos, divide that by cos, and then you'll end up here with tan theta minus 2. Just 2 because the cos's cancel out, equals 0. Tan theta equal 2. Right, so just keep that one also in mind. Make it red. Keep it constant. All right, so, okay, now we have on this side where tan is negative, and on this side where tan is positive. So let's do this. Let's give this a blue color. I'll tell you now why. Then let's draw the stations thing, all stations to Cape Town. And now let's identify in the red, where's tan negative? So tan is negative there and there, quadrant 2 and 4. Where is tan positive? It's going to be quadrant 1 and 3, because everything is positive there, and here tan is positive. Right, so let's see what we can do. So the first thing now we have to work out is this. What is this theta? So remember, this now is the inverse. So the inverse of minus 3 on my calculator is a tan. I get minus 71,57. Now remember, I said we work with absolutes. So let's see what we can do. So the red, tan is negative in quadrant 2. In quadrant 2, we have 180 minus theta. So that is 180 minus 71,57. That gives me 108,43. So that's the answer. Theta equals 108.43. And don't forget the plus k, and all of that must come on the right. That's the one answer. Because remember, we just did the, let me do this quadrant 2 we did. Now we still need to do quadrant 4. And quadrant 4, this one is, if you look at the first slide, it's going to be 360 minus theta. So 360 minus theta equals 360 minus the 71,57. And that is 360 minus 71,57, 288.43. So 288.43 plus k times 360, etc., etc. So that's the one answer. Theta, that's not 0, that's theta equals 108.43, and the other one is the 288.43. Remember, we only on the left here with the red where the tan is negative. So we only did that. There's still the blue part as well that we must do. Let's see if we can fit it in the space. So we already identified this blue is the positive. So the first theta is easy. I'll tell you why. So theta let's work out. So it's again the inverse. So we need 2. So on my calculator, I'm putting in 2 and then a tan to get the inverse, which gives theta as 63,43. Now, that is already just a theta. We're in quadrant 1 between 0 and 90. So that is one of the answers. plus, put the k in, and don't forget this part here, k is the element of all integers. The second one, so the second one is quadrant 3, because in the blue, we want tan, where's tan positive? Tan is positive in quadrant 3. Quadrant 3 is 180 degrees plus theta. So 180 degrees plus theta is 180 plus the 63,43. And that, just work it out, gives you 243,43. And plus k times 360, k is the element of all integers. So these are 4 answers. This is identified in green. So the one answer is this one here. Theta is 108.43. Second one is this one over here. Theta is 288.43. Then we have the third one. Theta is 63.43. And then theta is 243.43. Yes, so that's the 4 answers that we have. Remember, we're busy with this solution over here. This is too big. You can put all the thetas in and just see if you can get 0. But I have the answer sheet in front of me, and I also get to the same answers that the answer sheet gives. Therefore, I know that is correct. So thank you very much. That was trigonometry. I hope it helped. And again, go back to the first opening slide where we had where I showed you the triangle, all stations to Cape Town and the 180 plus thetas, all of that. Just keep that handy because you will need it going forward. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Goodbye.